Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. We are here today with AJ Singha, the co-founder of NinjaOne. Good morning, good afternoon, AJ.
Hey Scott, good afternoon to you as well.
Great. How is your day going?
Pretty awesome. Lots of trainings all day. So today's the day I get to talk a lot.
Okay, good deal. So you are, if I'm not mistaken, in Austin, Texas, correct?
That is correct.
How's the weather today?
It's actually pretty warm. It sucks me not being outside. I wish I could just drag everything outside.
Yeah, it's unseasonably warm. It's always hot in South Carolina, but today is about 73. I kind of like a little bit cooler temperatures. South Carolina is just famously, well, they call it famously hot. So it's always hot and humid. It's kind of oppressive in the heat of the summer. So I don't know. Austin's pretty hot too, though, isn't it?
It does get pretty hot during summers, yeah, but right now I think it's pretty conducive. The good thing is this is the perfect temperature where there's no mosquitoes.
There you
Otherwise, when it
go.
gets really hot, you can't even sit outside. Uh,
Yeah, I hate those
but yeah.
pesky mosquitoes. They're awful. So, well, I guess we're going to talk about NinjaOne today, and you're going to demo the platform. I really appreciate you taking the time to share the platform with our audience. But before we start, so Ninja has been a supporter of the IT Business Owners Group community. Well, since we started getting sponsors, so we really appreciate that. But I wanted to ask you, back in the original days, it was Ninja RMM, and all of a sudden
Mhm.
you guys changed the name to NinjaOne. Can you tell us a little bit about the change and what happened there and why the change?
Absolutely. That's a great question, Scott. So it was a huge milestone for the company that triggered this name change. So Ninja was Ninja RMM back in the day, as you might know. So it was primarily catered toward just MSPs, and it was all we had was an RMM platform. But gradually, as we grew, we saw the pain that customers had with other products as well, namely backup, documentation. There's a few others. So we thought it would make a lot of sense to build them natively. So give the customers what they love in a much better Ninja way. With everything intertwined, like all the workflows work seamlessly again, across all those product lines,
Mhm.
and give them like that single pane of glass, which again is a term that we hear all the time, which some of us hate. But I think I like it for a fact because when you come to work, on a certain day, you bring up your dashboard, you can see every single thing that needs attention. So it could be your backups failing, your devices down, your networking devices having issues, uh, your documentation needs to be filled in. So every single aspect of things that matter to you are taken care of in that single console. So that's where we also changed our, should I say, mantra. We call ourselves a unified IT operations management platform now, not just an RMM, because we do a lot more than that.
Okay, great. So really, NinjaOne just kind of encompasses the name change. Just encompasses that it's more than just the RMM platform. It's kind of everything
Mhm.
under that single pane of glass. Very cool. I really like that. Um, so how long have you been with Ninja? Actually, the co-founder. So I mean, kind of from the beginning. How long? How many years has it been now?
That's a good question as well. So we started the company unofficially end of 2013. We
Okay.
officially incorporated in Jan 2014. So more like about 8 years now,
That's great. That's
eight or
great.
9 years. Yep.
Well, NinjaOne is a very good platform for MSPs. I personally am happy to say that we have been using it as well in our MSP. It works very, very well for our needs, so we are extremely happy. What
Good to
I,
hear
gu-
that.
I guess if you want to dive into the demo, I'm hoping that I can maybe learn something today as well. I'm sure I'm not using it as full as capabilities.
Absolutely. So again, let me start by sharing my screen.
Sure.
And Scott, again, this would also be beneficial for people who have not seen Ninja or not heard about Ninja to talk about the overall picture. So
Okay.
again, NinjaOne is this unified IT operations management tool. We started back in end of 2013, as I mentioned a moment ago. We have about 400 employees, and we are in a process of adding a significant number more to our fleet later this year. We have about 7,000 partners. And as you can see here, 3+ million endpoints under management today. That comprises of Windows, Mac, Linux, your networking devices as well. And we have the highest rating when it comes to support. So I call Ninja not just a product, but an experience. So if you go to any of the Reddit forums, if you go to the G2 crowd, you will see that people love us from the time they start a trial with us to the time they switch to being a customer with us, because our pre-sale and post-sale support are second to none, and we stand by it. So that's one thing that really I wanted to highlight here. And also this average response time, as you can see here, is pretty good compared to the overall industry. So if you file a ticket with us, we totally understand that it's your line of business application. So anything that's wrong with the platform, affects you severely. So we jump on it right away. And we have support that follows the sun. So you can reach us anytime, 24/7.
Okay.
So that's, again, a high-level summary. I'm going to go over this slide now. So this is the wheel that pretty much showcases all the salient highlights of what Ninja stands for. So there's, RMM, that remote management and monitoring. There's patch management built in for both Windows and third-party patching. There's also patching coming for Mac and Linux later on down this year. IT documentation is a feature that we added recently to our platform to help technicians document everything that they need to in this, again, single pane of glass. Software deployment can, again, be done easily through Ninja by scripting it. And also there's native functionality built into, upload EXEs and MSIs to deploy to, multiple machines at the same time. Remote access, we have multiple options. So that's, again, that goes into the vision of Ninja. We did not want to corner you into using a certain platform or a certain software or vendor. We know MSPs have religions. They prefer a certain piece of software over the other. And our goal was to get you or provide you all the tools that you love from this single pane of glass experience. So even for remote control, for example, we have TeamViewer, we have Splashtop, and we have RDP. And if I talk about PSA for a moment, so we integrate with 10 different PSAs today, because we knew, like when we started the company, PSA is something that people have a very hard time switching from, because that's it's at the core of their workflow. And that's why we were like, hey, you use your PSA you want, here's an RMM that's going to work seamlessly with your PSA and should make your life easier. There's also Service Desk, which is ticketing, which is also a module that we added to Ninja very recently. And backup as well is one of the modules that was added more like 6 to 8 months ago, and it's coming along really well. But this sums up Ninja in a nutshell, Scott.
Good deal. So the service desk would be more like the ticketing system, like you said. So
that's correct.
Mm-hmm. So that would be kind of the built-in PSA. But now, are you calling it a PSA at this point, or just service desk?
We do not call that a PSA. Yeah,
okay.
It's primarily a ticketing software. We have not decided on the direction of, if we want to pursue a PSA down the line or not. But for now, we are trying to make sure it is fully featured and fully feature complete, as far as ticketing software is concerned.
Well, one thing while you've got this on the screen that I want to talk about that, I find easy to use. One of my favorite, if you said, Scott, what do you love the most about Ninja? You know what I would say? The colors. Mm-hmm. It's like a traffic light. If it's red, there's typically it's trying to get your attention. There's a problem. If it's yellow, it's just trying to alert you for something. And if it's green, typically everything's smooth sailing, okay to proceed. So, I love the colors. Do you want to talk a little bit more about the colors and how they integrate and how they're kind of at the core of Ninja?
Sure thing. That's a great point you brought up, Scott. So that's again where Ninja UI stands out with most of our partners, because it's very simplistic. There's a lot of technology, a lot of complexity hidden under the hood, but to you and as an MSP, the workflows are super smooth. And again, going back to the simplest analogy, green is good, red is bad, orange might be semi-bad. So it shows on the color codes for each of these statuses that need to be taken care of. So again, the goal is you come to work, let's say tomorrow, you open up the dashboard, look at all the issues that need attention. They are very clearly color coded, and then you can work on them, make them green, and go about your day. And then further, if you really wanted more granular control over these colors, you actually go into configuration and go into devices and health status. And here you can tweak the colors for each of those erroneous states. So let's say, for example, and this is interesting, right? Let's say, for example, device has pending reboots. So in this case, if I go down, needs reboot, it's yellow by default, but for someone, it might not be that severe an issue. So you can go in here and change that to gray.
Oh,
and
wow.
It will automatically push it down to the bottom of the list. So it prevents something called an alert fatigue when you have thousands of devices that you might be managing, but you want to quickly get through the list without, being sidetracked by less important things.
Okay. So you can actually edit those colors to work with your workflow even better. Great.
That is correct. Mm-hmm.
Well, I like the colors that comes default, but sometimes we get a lot of reboots, so having a nice gray might actually work. So,
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
So can you kind of show how you've got it broken down by organizations as well, and kind of the flow and the structure there? I see you got favorites and recents and all that on the left-hand column too.
Totally, right? So that's again, just to help you navigate through your devices and your issues quickly. So at the top, you have ticketing, obviously. So if you have ticketing turned on in your company, then this tab will show up with all the boards. And then you can move the tickets across different boards. But then, so this shows you all the unassigned tickets right now in the system. There's this quick view here. I can drill down into a ticket and see if there's any devices that are affiliated with that ticket, which org it belongs to, what's the location, and who requested the ticket.
Okay.
And you quickly have all these request templates or response templates, sorry, to reply to these. So it's a pretty simplistic way to handle your tickets, right? And you can of course change the statuses from here. You can custom configure if you want that to be, categorized as a problem or an incident or a task. So there's all these different ways to tackle that. So I'm just gonna collapse that tab. Favorites is where you can favorite your devices, your organizations, your locations. So if there's some devices that you plan to, let's say there's a server that you need to work on for the next 4 days, for some reason, there might be a big migration going on. You don't want to have to, go to that device every single day by having to search for it. So you can just pin it here under favorites.
All right.
Also,
save
just
yourself
like
a
your
couple
browser.
Clicks.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
And even like in terms of that, recents. So recents also shows you the same devices, and you can just hover over and click the star to favorite it. And you can easily remove it from favorites right from here.
Okay. Very cool.
Right? So let's actually talk about the inner workings of Ninja. So when I talk about Ninja, I usually like to start off with the main building block, which is a policy. So let's go back to configuration and go to policies. And here is a sample policy. So a simple definition for policy would be a policy is a superset of different config items that dictate how a device is managed within Ninja.
Okay.
At the core, we have conditions. So if you go to add a condition, there's quite a few conditions that we provide you out of the box. So let's say you want to be notified if the CPU breaches a threshold of 80% for the last 5 minutes. And then you can specify the alert severity as well as priority. You can also give it a friendly name. You can just call it like high CPU usage.
Okay.
You can also reset after a certain time period, or you can make it a closed loop by selecting this option when not met for X amount of time. So let's say the CPU spiked, the alert triggered, and after 3 minutes, the CPU came down, and then this alert will automatically reset itself.
Okay.
We also integrate with Slack, PagerDuty, and also emails and SMS notifications. So you can configure your Slack channel, your PagerDuty channels, and each of your email or SMS recipients, and send these alerts to them right from here. This is the legacy way by sending emails to all your technicians by just using this option. And if you have ConnectWise or any of the PS integrations, you can also create a ticket and also create and close a ticket if you wanted to.
Okay.
And here you can handpick the template. You can create a templates right within Ninja. So that's going to preset all these fields, priority, severity, and whatnot. And lastly, this is Ninja ticketing. So you can also create tickets in parallel in the Ninja ticketing system.
That's a lot of conditions.
It is, right? And for any of these conditions, you can also auto remediate, Scott. So let's say the CPU breaches a threshold, you can add a script. So you can add a custom script here to, let's say, for example, there's a third-party software that really causes the CPU to spike. And here you can create a service or a script, to kill that service or kill that process. And that will bring the CPU to normal.
I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Very
so
cool.
There's the conditions piece. Awesome, thanks. All the scripts that you saw on the previous tab, or the option to add scripts in the previous tab, can also be run in a standalone fashion from here. So I can pick a script and I can add a schedule to it, how often I want to run it. So pretty straightforward. Like
so like a maintenance, like a maintenance script or something. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And to that note, Scott, you can have multiple scripts sitting here. So all of them will be executed in a serial fashion.
Gotcha.
So you can batch quite a few scripts for your maintenance jobs. Next comes Windows patching. So this is where Ninja does a phenomenal job. We built in a native patching engine, and this lets you perform OS patching, Windows patching to be specific in this case. So pick the reboot options if needed, and they can differ based upon if a user is logged in on the endpoint or not. So you can prompt, you can do nothing. That means essentially suppress the reboot. Scan schedule, pretty obvious. Same with update schedule. These are the different patch categories that Windows APIs provide us. And each of these is a three-way switch. So you can preemptively approve a patch category, pre-reject a category, or select manual, which will mean any patches from that category will show up on the Ninja dashboard as pending, and you can then either approve or reject them for the device or for the whole policy from there.
Okay.
Advanced approval. So this is where you want to also take care of drivers or feature updates for Windows 10. And then these are the overrides that show up if, let's say, for example, you had this manual patch and you approved it while it's still sitting as manual in the policy. So all the overrides will show up here.
Okay.
The next piece to patching is third-party patching. So here is where we partner with Ivanti, and we can patch 150 different software titles from here. So if I do an expand all, that'll give you a pretty fair idea of all the different software vendors we can patch.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And antivirus, we integrate with WebRoot and Bitdefender. And it's a pretty simple way to set it up. Once you turn this on, you specify the reboot options, you pick the scan schedules, and specify what will be scanned as a part of every scan schedule, and just hit save. This will deploy this AV on all those endpoints under this policy.
Is Ninja looking to expand the AV vendors that it integrates with in the future?
We certainly are, absolutely. So there's quite a few vendors we are talking to without naming them, but yeah, to answer your question, yes, we are.
Okay, excellent.
Do you have any one of your favorites? I believe I remember you like ESET back in the day.
We like a lot of different vendors, AV vendors, but we like MZSoft as well. We've been an MZSoft provider for a while, and well, their stuff just works, so we like it.
Gotcha. Awesome. Glad to hear. All right. So these are activities. So if you go to Ninja, actually, Scott, if you look at the first screen, this is a good differentiator here. So if I go to search, you see this Twitter-like feed on the side, and this captures information at a macro level. So let's say you create a company, you delete a policy, to things that happen on a device level. Let's say on Scott PC, you install Skype or you uninstall MS Office. All that detail is captured on the side panel, and that's what's called our activity feed.
Okay, so a complete audit, system audit.
Exactly. And there's two sources for these activities. One is the system activities. So technician created, or created, end user created, policy changes, PSA credentials failing. All these are system activities, which again, you can go in here and also get alerted on, or even send alerts to the channels, as I mentioned before. The second source was where we were before in the policy. Let's go back here and go to activities, and I'm going to expand all. So you're going to see quite a few of these activities. So if you're, Ninja data protection, like our backup job get canceled, if the job fails, all these can be notified on if you wanted. If your RAID, controllers are not happy. So we do a pretty good job with RAID, Scott, which just brings up a good point. So your Dell NHP RAID controllers can easily be and automatically be monitored by Ninja. And I'll show you in a second how that looks like. So software added removed, any hardware level changes on the devices can also be notified on automatically. So now if I go out, let me show you a sneak peek at a few of those devices. Let's actually look at a Windows machine first, how that looks like in Ninja.
Okay.
So this is the vendor, which is VMware, because this is a virtual machine running Windows 10. Okay. And you can see the serial number here. Well, this is first of all, the product key. So this is a volume license. So that's why you just see the 4 digits. And if this was actual hardware, it would have shown you a serial number. In case the CS is like VMware generated. So anyway, we'll skip that. Public private IP, the uptime, the policy it belongs to, the org. Here's where the magic is. So you can run scripts on it in an ad hoc fashion if you wanted to. It's pretty easy. You can just pick one. I'm just going to do a IP config. If there's a release or renew, there you go. Do this. Yes, close. And it literally takes maybe 10 to 15 seconds for the script to run, and also for the results to show up on the side panel.
Speaking of scripts, does Ninja have like a script repository that the end users can go to bring in scripts that they want to use? I'm not very, very good at writing scripts. That's one of the things I need to brush up on and work on my skills. But, I certainly love scripts that are well written. Is there some place that we can go to get those scripts, or there's like a community script for Ninja, anything like that available?
Absolutely, Scott. So we have a script sharing community on our Ninja Dojo. So there's quite a few scripts there. What we're also doing in probably in the next 3 months is also show some of these scripts in the Ninja itself. So we partner with Kelvin from CyberDrain,
okay,
who has written lots of scripts for us. He's a PowerShell guru, if you will. And also we have hired somebody in-house, solutions architect, who is writing about 100 scripts for us, which were the top requested ones from the community.
Oh,
so all that will be available in the Ninja. Totally. And just to add more color to that, we support pretty much all the popular scripting languages in Ninja. So that's one thing that separates us from the other RMMs is you don't need to learn a proprietary language. So we support PowerShell, VBScript, JavaScript, Batch, CMD, and Shell scripts right in the Ninja console. So yeah, Windows, Mac, Linux, all are taken care of. By the way, if you noticed, that script ran quite a while ago with the output right here.
Success.
So you can easily see what the script did exactly. There's command line, which you can run as system or as a logged in user. We're further adding more options to it to run that as either 32-bit or 64-bit as well that's coming out in the next version of Ninja.
Can you go
And
into the command system? That would be kind of in the background, right? The end user, that's where the end user wouldn't see anything. It'd kind of be silent to them.
correct. Yes.
Okay.
So there you go. And it's blazing fast. I'm actually just going to do an IP config. I'm just going to do a ping enter. And you can see this is as responsive as you were on the actual machine. I'll tell you a funny thing.
Okay.
You can actually even open up, let's say, Prince of Persia, from back in the day that used to run on DOS. Point being, like, you can also have keyboard and mouse interactions here if they were available.
Okay.
So that's how powerful this UI is.
Very good.
Okay.
Very responsive
Awesome.
too.
It is, totally. So PowerShell and CLI both. We also support RDPing into the device. So what we do is, since we already have an agent on the device, it can open up a local tunnel to itself and get you over to the device and also you can set up any of these settings as necessary before the RDP starts.
Okay.
Okay. Further, we have Splashtop and TeamViewer. I'm just going to click on any of them to showcase how snappy they are. So TeamViewer is fully bundled with Ninja. Again, if you buy that, and you saw how responsive that was, you just click the icon, it will create this authenticated and licensed session for you, and you're on the device to do whatever you need to.
That's fast.
And if I go further, there is IT Glue integration, which again will take you to the corresponding device if that was synced in your IT Glue console. I might not have that, so I'll skip that. Same with Screen Connect. So if you notice, again, Screen Connect is a very popular vendor when it comes to a remote control. So we also integrate with them. So once you click that, this will open up this device in the Screen Connect console as well.
Oh, great.
And lastly, we have backup. Please go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I wanted to catch this comment in the notes real quick in the chat section. Do we have manual control over patch updates?
Absolutely, you do. So if you wanted to have full control over what you want to patch versus not, you would just go inside a policy and go to Windows Patches and select everything as manual. What that will do is Ninja will scan for the patches and will leave those patches as pending. And let's get out of here. So once every single device is scanned based upon the scan schedule, you then go to the dashboard, go to OS patches and go to the pending tab. And that'll show you every single patch that was available across all your devices. So with the patch name and how many devices it's pending on, I can click on the hyperlink to show you those two devices as well. And from here, I can approve or reject that patch just for those devices, or overall for the whole policy if you wanted to.
Very good.
Further, actually, one more thought just to add to that conversation. So if you see, let's actually go to, I'm trying to remind myself where that is. It should be under general action. There you go, patching. Brain fart. So here you can preemptively approve or reject patches. Let's say Microsoft comes out with a really bad patch that's going to break all the network adapters or do some bad stuff. So here you can then go in and add the KB number that you want to preemptively approve or reject across all your devices in this org.
Okay. And Praven Singh asked, how frequent is the scan? I assume he's talking about how often do you make it scan for things, but that's pretty much on. I mean, you can set it for whatever you want, right? You can do it weekly or bi-weekly or whatever.
Yeah, totally. So again, when you talk of scanning, so how often you want to do it? Yeah, you can actually do it daily, weekly, month of day, or monthly day of week. So it's very flexible. I mean, if you wanted to do it daily, every night, let's say, for example, you could totally do that. In terms of Ninja monitoring the data on those endpoints, we fetch data from every single device in the system every minute. So
Right.
again, we happen to be one of the fastest RMMs in the market that keep most real-time data possible.
And Praven's got another question. Can we create an alert for patch updates available based on their criticality?
Not today. So that's actually on the roadmap. We actually so there's a very well-defined patching roadmap that we have in place. First piece of that is to actually have patching schedule per patch type. So let's say, for example, you want to perform updates on critical patches every day, but for the less severe ones, moderate ones, maybe once a week, and for the optional ones, once a month. So that'll be phase one to it. If you then go down here, though, let me just make sure that piece is there. So if you go here, you can get alerted on patch management failures for those devices. So let's say you did apply a patch on a device and it failed for some reason, it will notify you with the device name as well.
Okay.
And one more, thing to add more color to this. So we actually have a full-blown dedicated team at Ninja that caters to patching for all OSs, which I, personally work with. And we have lots of enhancements. One big one is to be able to see more data per patch. So patch ID, the CVE, the CVSS number, if a patch requires a reboot, if it supports uninstall and whatnot. There's also a few other things that are being added, like things like being able to run a pre-script and a post-script before patching kicks in. And there's tons of more enhancements. I think I should hold off my thoughts, once we're closer to the release, but that's scheduled for close to June timeframe for now.
Okay. So I'm seeing Linux, Mac. I know that you support other OSs other than Microsoft Windows. How has the Mac agent been? We don't do a ton of Macs. We have just a handful of Macs.
Totally, that's a good question as well. So Scott, what we call our strategy is more like a land and expand, wherein we had a bare bones agent back in the day. We kept on adding more functionality to it. And I think it's pretty much at par with the Windows agent. There's one big piece that's coming out again before the end of this year, or should I say, rather, it's scheduled for end of Q2, which is Mac patching for both OS and third-party natively. So let's actually go to a device to clarify what I mean by that. So here's what a Mac looks like here. We can go to the terminal. We can also do TeamViewer or Splashtop. And if you go to the scripting piece, I could actually, let's go here actually. So let's go to OS patching. So here are the native scripts that we provide to you out of the box, which lets you download the patches, not install them, install all the patches and whatnot. So this is again through scripts here, but we plan to do that natively in Ninja, and that's already in the works. So the plan is to build both OS and third-party patching fully blown as feature complete as it's on the Windows side, on the Mac and Linux side as well.
Okay, good. Yeah, I haven't kept up with the Mac side. Like I said, we don't have a whole lot of Mac agents that we, or Mac end users. So, but that's great. That's great. So it sounds like Mac is well taken care of with Ninja. So great.
It absolutely is. I promise it's not an afterthought.
And I know a lot of IT folks are diehard Linux people too. I am not. So, but I assume it's the same for Linux, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, a Linux agent is pretty much at par with our Mac agent as well.
Okay. I think Linux, though, and Mac, if I'm not mistaken, are kind of a lot alike in certain aspects.
They are, in fact, absolutely. And that you bring up a good point, because that's also a boon to the developers, because the underlying kernels are very much alike from a dev standpoint as well.
Okay, good deal.
Awesome.
Well,
so I was to show you a few more.
Okay.
I promised you I'll show you one thing which I forgot. I'm going to keep myself honest here, which was the RAID monitoring.
Okay.
So here is the RAID controller. It's on a Dell server. So you can see all the details about that RAID controller. It's an 8700. It's a perk. And all the different RAID volumes, and then all the individual disk drives and what the status is on those. So that's an important one. There's a couple of other device types I want to showcase. One is VMware. So we can also monitor VMware hosts. So once you add that to Ninja, it'll show you all the virtual machines on that host. And then you can go in here and take actions on each of them. And if I actually drill down to this device, if I go to the play button, there's all these basic functions, obviously, but if I go to details and go to snapshots, I can create or delete snapshots as well.
Gotcha.
And we have similar functionality on the Hyper-V side as well.
Okay.
Do you have any questions before I move on?
Nope. I'm right there with you.
Awesome. Great. So as I mentioned, we are more like a 360-degree monitoring platform. So it's not just Windows, Mac, Linux. It's also your networking devices. So if you have a device that supports SNMP, you can easily bring that into Ninja and capture all the important information, at a high level. So the port map, even for Cisco and HP devices, we can do a config backup. So it's going to show you the running or the startup config for those devices right within the Ninja console. And also we can alert you if the config changes for any reason. Let's say your device got hacked at 1 a.m. in the middle of the night. The moment Ninja sees that change in the backup config, it will send you an alert. And also, if I talk about Syslog, let me see if I have a device to showcase, but again, I do not, I apologize. But we can also monitor Syslog or SNMP traps within Ninja as well, and get alerted on different OIDs in case of SNMP traps. And for Syslog, there could be different facilities, severities, or different keywords that appear in the Syslog message that can also trigger an alert.
Okay.
There's also a few other things. So you can brand the Ninja UI to your liking, change the headers and the footers, change the color schemes here. And also there's a sister icon, which is the icon that appears on every single endpoint, which you can fully customize by dragging or dropping items or adding more items as you need. And there's also this help request form, which when, let's say, the end user needs help from the MSP, so this form automatically will capture all this information like the IP address, the email of the recipient, the Ninja URL for the device and whatnot. And also you can add a screenshot on that endpoint, and that's going to come up or show up in an email or in the Ninja ticket or the PSA ticket once it's initiated from the endpoint.
Okay.
All right, what else is a good one to cover? One super important one, so that opens up the whole world for us, which is the custom fields. So custom fields can be configured on devices, and then they can be filled in either by an engineer or technician or by a script. So anything that Ninja does not monitor natively can be monitored using custom fields. So things like CPU temperature, fan speed, the BIOS being out of date or whatnot, all that can be easily monitored by Ninja using the custom fields. There's another aspect, which is documentation. So those are what we call as org fields. So if I go to an org and go to the documentation tab, there you would see, again, this one is fully customized, but here is where you can see all the different documentation templates. And let's say for Active Directory, we have 2 different sites. Maybe there's San Francisco and Florida. You can have different settings for each of them. So you can just go to edit and populate that information manually. So nice. This is, again, that single pane of documentation platform that we were talking about. And there's a lot more coming here, Scott, to bring this at par with the other big players in the market that specialize in documentation.
Okay. So when we talk about documentation, something at the basic level, like a end user's password, is there a safe, secure place to put that inside of Ninja to where it makes it easy for the technician working on it?
Great question. So it can be done today, well, in a broken down fashion, because we don't have, let's see if we did add that template here. There you go. Well, we do have it here. So if I go here, so I'm just going to call it AJ Ninja. This is a password. Again, this is just a placeholder. You can actually remove this. I'm going to add a password. I'm just going to call it Ninja123.
Okay.
And for now, it's not saved, so it shows up. You can hover over, and I have a plugin that lets me see it. But once I save it, close it, it is hash coded. So now it is encrypted in the background, and there's no way I can retrieve this. So even if I go to edit, I try to look at it, I'll have to authenticate myself for it to be pulled from the server and decrypted.
Ah, okay. And we
use the password.
We use YubiKeys, strong hardware-based authentication with our Ninja instance. And I assume that it works with Authy, YubiKey. What other alternate methods of authentication, secondary authentication, do you use?
So we also have SAML that will be released publicly. It's a closed beta right now, but it's going to be public in end of next month as a part of our 5.3.1 release. So you have Okta or OneLogin or Duo. You can easily add your devices and authenticate them using those platforms.
Excellent.
Right. So this was documentation. What else would be a good one to talk about? Reports. So there's quite a few reports that we provide you. There's org and global reports as well. The org reports are much more, much beefier, I would say. But there's a regular report, and let me just go to custom, because this shows you every single section across all the reports that you could handpick and add to the report. So there's probably 25 to 30 different widgets that you could, add to this custom report and, see this information.
So talking about reports, if you wanted to automatically send your clients kind of a report of an overview of the last 30 days or the last quarter or even the last year, would Ninja can you set up a schedule to automatically email the client within Ninja without having to crank those reports out? Okay.
Absolutely. So I mean, again, that would be the regular report that has all these sections. So these are the sections in the regular report. You pick that, you pick the customer name. So let's say Clean Tea DDS is our customer. And here is where you could enter that, let's say, the owner's email address manually. And pick the scope of the report, as you mentioned, last month, this month, last 3 months, or even pick a custom scope. And then this is how often you want to send out the report with a never-ending schedule, or you could also end it after certain number of occurrences.
Okay.
So that's totally doable.
So Varun Singha asked in the chat, does NinjaOne cater to smaller MSPs or startups looking to break into the IT market?
We do. Again, I mean, so we don't discriminate between any small or medium-sized MSP. Again, we just have one precondition, which is we need 50 device minimum to sign up with us. But beyond that, we are very supportive for MSPs, all sizes.
Excellent. That's a great answer.
Awesome. This is a scripting tab. So we have quite a few scripts that are built into Ninja. If you go to there's these different categories of scripts, obviously, and these are the let me actually go to native. So these are the ones we provide to you out of the box today, Scott. So these are more like machine level coded. So they're not really like PowerShell or VB script. They're mostly like C++ or C# languages under the hood. So you can't really see the contents. And you can also add your own scripts here by using this WYSIWYG, which again, many MSPs love because some of them are into scripting themselves. So you can handpick the language that you want to script in, and it will color code the scripts accordingly once you paste them or code them here.
Very nice. Yeah, I wish I did scripting and knew more about scripting than I do. So that's one of my weaknesses, unfortunately. But I know, like you said, I've asked the question in IT Business Owners Group before to other IT business owners: do you prefer a GUI or do you prefer command line interface? And surprisingly, a lot of techs and a lot of business owners prefer command line interface. So
they do. And I'll tell you one more fun story that's analogous to that. So I'm a networking guy from my prior life. And even though all these Cisco's and Palo Altos have these fancy GUI for easily configuring those devices, if you're a real networking guy, you would never even go in there. You would probably tenant or SSH the device and configure it that way. It just so, the way most MSPs are, or tech guys are, should I say, wired.
Absolutely. So we've got one more question. Do you have agent templates for different device types?
Agent templates for different device types. We do not have agent templates. However, we have condition templates for different device types. So what that means is, if I go in here to policies, and again, a sample policy, there's these templates for different device types like Active Directory, or there's an Exchange server, with the different processes and services that you need to monitor on those, SQL Server and whatnot. So, and we're adding probably 100 more templates in the next version that's going to go out, which is going to have a search capability, different categories and whatnot. And that'll even let you further fine tune the device types and monitor things that really matter to you from specific to the device.
Okay. Well, I've got a question that I want to ask you while it's on the top of my tongue. And what is AJ Singh's favorite feature of Ninja?
That is a great question. I would say patch management would be definitely the one that stands out. And I just say that because of the sheer amount of control we offer, and also what's coming in the future. I would say our patching would be parallel to none out there in terms of the visibility and the granular control that we offer now, plus what's coming in the near future. So that's certainly one feature to look out for. And also the other one, a close second, would be custom fields, because that's where I call the world is your oyster. If you know scripting, then you can monitor anything on the planet. So that's basically, unlimited power in your hands.
There you go. Can you dive in a little bit more to the reports? Do you have an example of what a report could look like, or would it take you long to just throw something together real quick so we could see an example of a report?
Can totally do that. So let's actually take a look at, let's go to an asset summary report. So this shows you all the device types or the device spread based upon the different device types in this org.
Okay.
Spread by operating system. There's all these Macs. Well, there's just one. And then there's details on every single device in the system with the, all these important things or important components in terms of memory, the install date of the operating system, how long the machine's been up, when it was last booted. If I go down further, this is where we show you your NMS devices. So the different vendors, again, there's none, but this template shows you a hint of what could be possible.
Sure.
And then there's a device spread by processors, by video cards, by hard drives. And if that's a regular disk drive versus an SSD, and what's the smart status.
Okay, nice.
The capacity information, the RAM capacity information. If you have VMware hosts in this, org, they'll also show up here. Also the VM virtual machine, same for Hyper-V as well. the software inventory. So every single piece of software installed across all your devices, along with the device counts. And let's keep going. Let's see what else is here.
Now, which report is this that you're showing right now?
So this was the asset report, Scott.
Okay.
And these are the device nodes. So if you actually go to a device, you can actually add, this was long before we added documentation or custom fields. But if you go to a device, let's say today, you have this note section, and you could add custom notes here. And of course, you have custom fields on this device level, which you could either add, as I said, edit manually or have a script write to those.
Okay. Very good.
So reporting is getting a full refresh, by the way, Scott, in the next month, end of next month. So it's going to be the same data, but in a much laid out in a much nicer fashion with the latest templates available online. And reporting overall is getting a big should I say overhaul by the end of this year. So we will let you configure every report by picking the widgets, the ones that you want, pick the visual style. So do you want that to be a pie chart, a graph, a table, and whatnot? Then you can pick the scope. Do you want to run that report across a device, a group of devices, or an org, or globally? And the third piece is scheduling. So if you want to run that on demand or on a schedule. So all those is going to be more like a bright gauge, if you will, but again, focused or present within Ninja.
Well, we don't actually integrate the AV at this point within Ninja, but for the AV integration, can you kind of go over that a little bit? Do you have that integrated?
So AV totally. So there's, as I mentioned, we integrate with WebRoot and Bitdefender.
Okay.
If you do not have an AV that integrates with Ninja already today, there's a few things we do already. So we integrate with Windows Security Center. Let me actually go here. Let's go to reports and let's look at a regular report, and that might also add a little more color to this.
Okay.
So let's hit view. So this is again the regular report, as I mentioned before, shows you the OS spread.
I love all the colors.
Ran across, right?
I'm a graph person. I love looking at graphs and colors. It just, I don't know, it just works with my brain better.
Absolutely. No, same here. I'm a visual person as well, just like you. So these are all the TeamViewer sessions that you had for a certain device, with the start and end time and the session duration. Let me go past it.
Nice.
So AV, as I mentioned, so we integrate with Windows Security Center. So it's going to show you every single device in the system with the corresponding status of the AV if it registers with Windows Security Center.
Gotcha.
So let's actually go here. So device name, the AV that's installed, if it's on or off, and the definition status, and the last time Ninja checked in.
Okay. So it won't, like, you can't push a scan with it, but it'll tell you that it's enabled, it's up to date. Correct.
And now, let's say there's an AV, let's say in your case, you mentioned MCsoft, right? So if you know you want to check the status of the definitions and it's not registered with Windows Security Center for some reason, you can use custom fields in Ninja to create that or fill that field and then create reports based upon that, saying that, hey, MCsoft installed, yes or no, MCsoft, enabled or disabled, yes or no, and definition status and whatnot. So if you know the registry keys and whatnot for those, anything can be monitored within Ninja.
Yeah, there's a main service that it uses, and we actually, we have a, I guess what's the word I'm looking for? We have it to where it will tell us if that service is active or not active.
Gotcha. Yep.
Good deal. Well, what about the backups? Can you get into the backups a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So backups. So we have both file and folder backup as well as image backups in Ninja, Scott. There's a few more things coming down the pipeline, things like backing up your Macs, also being able to back up your VMware or Hyper-V host, from the host level rather than having to install the Ninja agent on every single guest machine. But once you have backup installed or configured, you can go to the backup dashboard that shows you the cloud storage being used. So we partner with Amazon AWS and use their S3 storage. We also have NAS backups, by the way, so you can back up your data locally as well as to the cloud if you wanted to. But this is a pretty good dashboard that shows you the holistic state of things. So cloud storage being used by different devices overall. So that's going to contribute to your quota. And local storage, again, if you're doing any NAS backups. And then top orgs based on the cloud storage and the local storage. So I can click here if I wanted to. And then I can go into the backup overview. So this is the dashboard focused on that organization. The previous view that you were seeing was the global backup dashboard for the overall usage. And then you have all the planned runs in the last week and any active scans that might be going on. And this is a snapshot of different types of data that you're backing up. So again, if you have any archives, if you have any audio files like MP3s and whatnot, we have these predefined categories to give you an idea what kind of data is being backed up. And then if I go into a device, let's actually go to the backup overview dashboard for just this device. And if I go to manage backups, so this shows me the cloud storage, where that data is being backed up, and I can easily navigate to that data that's backed up in the cloud. And I can either restore this file to the same machine or to a different machine in the same org if it had backup turned on. And I can also pick the revision that I want to restore. And I can also select what happens if there's any conflicts. So there's that. And also from a download perspective, similarly, you can pick the revisions and easily download the file using your browser.
Excellent.
So that's the power of the single pane of glass, Scott, as you can see.
Good deal. Well, we are at the top of the hour, AJ, but I'm going to ask you, is there anything else that you want to showcase for us today within Ninja?
I would say, Scott, that's a pretty good overview. I mean, again, we can keep talking, right? There's all these features and all these overall UI improvements or UI optimizations that are in Ninja, which again are not available in many of the other RMMs. I would say I highly encourage anybody watching to get a trial of Ninja. It's it's fully featured. It's unlimited for the 30 days, and you can even extend that beyond that if you need to. So please feel free to contact us. You can reach us at sales@ninjarmm.com or sales@ninjaone.com now. And if you have any questions for myself, you can always reach me at aj@ninjaone.com, and happy to hop on a call or answer via email as needed. But I do want to thank you, Scott, by the way, for this opportunity. It's been a long time coming. We've been trying to make this happen, and thanks for finding a slot for us. That really means a lot to us.
Absolutely. Well, again, we really appreciate you taking the time to, visit with us today and go over the NinjaOne platform in detail. And if anybody has any questions about Ninja, again, reach out to AJ, reach out to myself. I'll get you in the direct direction of the Ninja folks. And we appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks,
everyone.
AJ. We'll see you.
Chat soon.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.